Good evening, Facebook and the world. Welcome to Downstage Productions Meet the Team Part 2. Tonight we have Elizabeth Strauss, who is a stage manager from New York. I'm very excited for this one because she's from New York and it's Broadway. Excitement. So I'm going to bring her in and yes, good evening and enjoy the time with us. Oh, by the way, please stay till the end because there will be a prize giveaway at the end. And we've got a special announcement to make with you all. Thank you. Enjoy. Good afternoon. Yeah, afternoon.
It is. It is about 1:30 here in New York. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Welcome to Meet the Teams here. I'm extremely happy that you're here. It's such an honor to have you here on the stream, especially, that you're tuning in from or calling in from New York, which is like the magical city for me personally.
No, it is one of the greatest cities in the world, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here. I actually am on Long Island, which is a suburb outside of the city, but I do miss my city terribly. It has been almost 10 weeks since I've been in New York City. I really miss it, so I can't wait till I'm back. I'm with my family on Long Island right now, just a couple hours away. So
I think with the lockdown, it's made everyone a bit difficult, and everyone's missing their families who they can't be with and stuff, which makes it a bit difficult, I think, in my sense.
Absolutely.
So I think let's jump in. So the first section is a bit of an introduction icebreaker. I'll just ask you some basic questions, and then we will go into the serious stuff and bigger, important matters.
Awesome.
Firstly, tell us your name, your age, where you're born, where you're currently staying. Yeah.
My full name is Elizabeth Sophia Strauss. My pronouns are she, her. I'm 28, almost 29. I'll be 29 in July. I am from Long Island, New York, just as I said, outside of New York City. That's where I currently am now. What else did you ask? Is that all you asked?
Yeah, where are you currently staying, which is in Long Island.
Long Island, yes.
What is the last book you read, and what's the best meal you've ever had?
Oh, the last book I reread Sound and Fury by William Faulkner recently, which I hadn't reread in a long time. My favorite meal. Ooh, well, I am a vegan, so it's all plant-based. I make really good tofu marsala.
Interesting.
Like chicken marsala, but tofu. Yeah, good. I enjoy making that. So.
Okay. So, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color is burgundy. It just
interesting
works with everything.
Which will bring us later to our next question. What are you currently watching on Netflix?
We were just talking about this during the mic and camera check. I actually haven't been watching that much TV the last couple weeks, just a little bit of the news in the morning. And I did watch the German soccer match that was on the other day because I missed watching sports. So I haven't watched Netflix in a few weeks. I did binge, which I don't normally binge things, the Unorthodox series, which I really loved with Cher Haas. 4-part series on Netflix was very, very well done.
Interesting. Netflix is a good outlet, I think.
It is.
Last question in the icebreaker introduction section. If you were Crayon, what color would you be?
I think I would still be burgundy. Yeah, like I think burgundy is a very passionate color, as you and I were talking about.
It is, and it represents dedication and passion. Our previous guest, her color was also burgundy in a way. So it's funny. And also burgundy is mostly related to artists, which is interesting.
I love that.
Moving on to educational background. Which school did you attend? What were your subjects, and which college university did you attend?
What high school did I attend?
Yes.
I went to Port Jeff High School on Long Island, just about 10 minutes away from my parents' house. We studied all kinds of things, social studies, math, science, English. My favorite French. I took French for a very long time. I took sport marketing, which I loved. My favorite subjects were French and English and history. I love politics and history. Wasn't that great at science. Chemistry and earth science were kind of the subjects I always had a difficult time in. And I went to college at the University of Rhode Island, where originally I studied sport management, actually. And then after a year of studying it, I realized I don't know if I want to work professionally in this industry anymore. I love sports as an athlete. I love it. I do love the business of it. I just don't know if I want to make a career out of it. I did a little bit of pit orchestra in high school. I played trumpet, but I didn't know what a stage manager was. I knew the crew and I knew the director and the actors, obviously, and my fellow musicians, but I didn't know what a stage manager was. And then my mom told me what that was after my first year of college, and I probably just Googled it or something and changed my major to theater, and the rest is history.
If I can quickly backtrack, you mentioned sports, and also you have mentioned that you're a freelance golf instructor. I know that's not on the original question list, but I would like to know how that fits in.
I have been playing golf since I was a tot. My father put a golf, growing up on Long Island, that's very common to go golfing. I live 5 minutes away from the golf course. He put a golf club in my hand. I liked it. I mean, I played a lot of different sports growing up: tennis, softball, a little basketball, soccer. Golf was just always something I really enjoyed. It was always therapeutic and fun for me. I competed a lot in middle school and high school. I broke the gender barrier, actually, for my school district. It was an all-boys golf team until I joined, and I said, I want to play golf.
Well, that is exciting. That is definitely exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. And
something to be proud of.
I am proud of it. I was 12 years old, and I said, I want to be on the golf team. I don't care if it's a boys' golf team. Title IX is real. I pass all the tests. I try out, and I make it, and they let me on the junior varsity golf team at age 12.
That is very cool.
And then, so the freelance happened. Broadway is great. Working in New York is great in freelance theater, but a lot of people have side hustles, and nothing wrong with the service industry. I commend people, especially the people doing it now, our heroes. But I just didn't want to work at Starbucks or be a waitress. And I decided to start coaching golf as a side gig. I did it in New York City. I've done it on Long Island. I don't do it as much anymore, but if someone wants a lesson, I'm always happy to give it to them. And it's just another passion for me. It's another way of teaching and another way of connecting with people.
I think it's honestly the first time that I've heard theater and sport combined. It's usually completely different. So it's interesting to hear that.
I mean, there are a lot of people obviously in theater that love sports. There are a lot of people in theater that hate sports. I don't know. I do know another golfer in theater. I don't know very many. But I'm sure there are other people that coach as side hustles. I actually haven't met any of those people in theater yet. But yeah, it's just something I wanted to do as my side hustle. So
it's so interesting. Let's move on to work-related section. How did you start in the industry?
How did I start? Well, again, I started when I originally went for my first year of college was for sports. So it wasn't until a year later I discovered theater and changed my major. And I did go to school for my BFA in stage and production management. And, during the summer, I would do internships like a lot of people. I did my first internship after my sophomore year of college. I think I'm trying to backtrack it, at a regional theater here on Long Island called Theater 3. And I was an ASM for the Who's Tommy. They called me their ASM. I felt more like a PA. It was great. I just don't think they had a ton of responsibilities for me to do, so I didn't feel I learned as much from that job. Then went back for my junior year of college, and my mom, I have the best parents. They're always looking for internships for their kids, jobs for their kids. I'm the luckiest person in the world. I have the best parents in the world. And she was like, oh, why don't you apply to Williamstown, which the Williamstown Theater Festival is one of the best summer stocks in this country, in Williamstown, Massachusetts, in the Berkshires, in New England. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough or qualified. And she's like, go for it. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're just going to send an application. And I applied for both the stage management internship and the production management internship. Their director of production called me and said, we know you applied for both internships, but we want a stage manager in the production office. Would you be willing to like withdraw your name from the stage management application and come do a production management intern? In my head, I'm like, well, any internship at Williamstown, any job at Williamstown is good. So yeah, I'm just going to go do it. And it was one of the most invaluable experiences. I still worked with all the departments. It was honestly better I was in the production department because everyone's coming to you for everything. And I'm still friends with a lot of the stage managers, and took, when I wasn't in the office and working on productions, to shadow them. And I learned how to call a show at Williamstown. I learned how to run a deck at Williamstown. And then I went back for my senior year of college, graduated from URI, and started working professionally. I came back home, started working professionally in New York City. And I've been hustling and working and networking and making connections, and I've been doing a lot of different things in theater for almost to the day. I graduated from college on May 19th, 2013. So 7 years of working professionally in New York City.
Wow. A quick question. You said PA. Just for those people out there, are you saying personal assistant or production assistant?
Sometimes you feel like a personal assistant. Sometimes you feel like a personal assistant. No, so a production assistant, sorry. So PSM is the production stage. And here in the States, we go production stage manager is the highest. Then sometimes you have a first assistant stage manager, a second assistant stage manager. That's usually just on tours and on Broadway. And then you have a production assistants, which are the support of the production. Just do what you are being asked and kind of be like the magician in the room, just quietly make things happen. Yeah.
So you mentioned this, but your first LOL title that you had in the industry was ASM, or more like a PA.
I mean, it just felt like that for that production. I don't think that theater company traditionally had assistant stage managers. I was actually it was after my sophomore year of college, and my brother was still in high school, and we were at an award ceremony for him, and not him, but another student received a local theater award from this theater company. And I remember leaning over to my mom and I was like, should I email that woman? And she's like, yeah, because she might give you an internship. I emailed that woman the next day, and she said, we're going to make you an ASM on the Who's Tommy. And that was my project for the summer. It was an unpaid internship, but to be in a professional theater setting, with actors, with directors, with crew, was really important, outside of the school setting. So,
that sounds amazing. It sounds like you had a bump start, not a bump start, but like
gunshot.
Impressive start, like in a way, yeah.
Yeah, no.
A lot of people basically some people have jumped into the deep end, and some people start at the swallow end. Sorry, and it feels like you were pushed into the deep end in a way.
I guess kind of a little bit of both, I guess. But I'm still friends with a lot of people from that show. Because Facebook is very helpful for that, and we connect and we stay in touch. And your Facebook memories come up, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, I remember doing that follow spot on that show. But Theater 3 is just a regional theater out by me, 5 minutes away from my parents' house. They're great. They do lovely regional work. They do plays. They do musicals. So I love the Who's Tommy. So.
What is stage management in your own words?
There's so many ways. If you actually Google what stage management is, it's such a weird description. I think stage management, in my words, is a delicate balance, because you're kind of the nucleus of the production. Everyone is going to need you at some point. You are moving within departments. You are working with actors, directors, designers, front of house, everything. You're working with the people in the shops that might not even be in New York. Some theme shops, they'll be in like Virginia, many states away. So you're coordinating everything, and you're working with a lot of different people and a lot of different personalities. We do work in theater, but at the end of the day, this is an industry of psychology, communication, and personalities, and you have to be able to work with everyone, or you are not going to be successful. You have to be a team player, and that's what it is, stage management to me.
For also non-theater people, what exactly does a stage manager do? Like, what is their main purpose? Let's state it like that.
I mean, we do so many things. It's not just taking blocking and calling the show, which I think a lot of people sometimes who aren't in theater, they're like, oh, you do the backstage stuff, right? Or you call the show, right? Or you're writing stuff down, right? No, you're working with a lot of departments. Sometimes you're the director in the room. Sometimes you're the designer in the room. Sometimes you are the actor. I mean, if someone can't be there, right, you're going to hand you a script and say, go stand in for rehearsal. Go do that blocking. Go read those lines. Just give 110%. So you're a little bit of everything to make sure the production stays balanced and well and runs safely and smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. More about you. What different jobs or roles have you had in the industry?
Oh, I've done so many things. I've been a stage manager. I've been a talent manager. I've been an event manager. I've been a production coordinator. I've been a production manager. I have been a wardrobe supervisor. I've been a sound designer, a lighting designer. I've been a stagehand. I've been a production assistant. I could go on.
You've
I've been a writer. I've been a playwright. Yeah.
Wow.
Writing, playwriting. I don't have my resume in front of me, but I've done so many different things.
That's very interesting that you've trained in so many departments. Yeah.
You have to be flexible sometimes
You
and
have
just
to,
go with the flow.
unfortunately.
No, it's not an unfortunate thing though. I mean, I've only been a wardrobe supervisor once, and I was a production assistant, kind of slash assistant stage manager on a revival in New York, and they were like, you're going to be the wardrobe supervisor too once we're in tech. And I didn't really do any of that in college. I mean, I took costume classes, but only because I had to. It wasn't ever a role I really had to do on the productions, and I learned on the job. And it's an extremely important job, and it's very important to know that craft and how people, just do every different job in our industry.
That is definitely true. With all of that in mind, what would you say was your favorite show that you've done?
No one ever says this, but I love readings. I love readings because that's really where you get to work on new things and develop new things, labs and workshops and readings. I think two of my favorite plays I've ever done were readings. One is called Erotic Intelligence, written by the brilliant Stephen Fisher. We did a few readings of that at Manhattan Theater Club. And another one I did with the Lark Theater by Kimberly is called To the Yellow House, which is, I still think, the most beautiful play I've ever read. Just really intelligent, well-developed works with brilliant actors, brilliant directors working on it, and just for a couple of days at a time, 29-hour reading on these things. But to just see the work people did was truly astounding. And Stephen, he wrote one of the best lines ever in a play. He wrote, "No biology, no chemistry," because it's a play about being human and relationships and love and marriage. And that line still resonates with me to this day. My favorite full length production I've worked on, it might be my first I worked out of college. I did a play by Donald Margulies right out of college. called The Model Apartment. It was a New York revival with primary stages. Beautiful play, a dark comedy. We had a great cast, great director. I worked on an all-female stage management team, two of the most brilliant stage managers I've ever worked with. It was just a great time. I mean, I've worked on a bunch of different things, but those are the three that really stand out to me.
With that in mind, going to the next one. What would you say was the most difficult the show you did, and why? Sorry, I'm mumbling.
One of my first assistant stage manager roles off Broadway, there wasn't a lot of chemistry on the team. So because there wasn't a lot of chemistry, some days were a little more trying than others. There were so many rewrites that the playwright started getting like a little out of context with things, and the director was just kind of all over the place, and there was a lot of screaming. Director screamed a lot, which was, of course, unpleasant, and it's not a fun environment. But when there's no chemistry, and that's important when you're putting together any team, stage management team especially, you want to make sure you can all work together. I mean, again, some days you're not. Like, we made it work as best as we could, though there wasn't a lot of chemistry. But yeah, when there's no chemistry, it makes it really hard. So it makes you really not want to go to rehearsal, and it makes you not excited to go to tech. And when you're sitting in a theater till 2 a.m. with people who you're having a difficult time working with, it makes it trying, for sure.
I think everyone in the industry have a similar story. And I think that's a bit of our battle scars going forward. It builds us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If you could work on any show and anywhere in the world, which show would it be and where?
I don't have like a dream show. I guess something I do want to do one day as a stage manager is I would like to work the Olympics, because they do use stage managers and all different types of managers on the Olympics. So that is something I'd like to do. An event. There's no particular play or musical I have a dream of working on. My favorite opera is La Traviata. So if I ever had the opportunity to work on that in Italy, I think that would be fun. I'd like to just work all over the world: South Africa, Australia, Italy, France, London, India. I love immersing myself in other cultures and learning how theater differs in different parts of the world. So anyone wants to hire me internationally when it's safe again, please.
And I think that's also why I'm so excited to have you here, because having you as an international stage manager and comparing South Africa stage managers, it's a bit different how things are done. And I think that is one of the important things, is trying to, instead of having different places, it is one united group of theater people in a way.
We are all artists from all over the world, and we are one big community, and we all have to take care of each other.
Definitely. Last question before we get to the intense stuff. Is theater your main income? You have answered this, but is theater your main income?
Sorry, what is my main income?
In the industry, theater.
Oh, I mean, I guess primarily stage and production management. I do more than the other hats I wear. Is where my main income comes from.
Now moving over to the more difficult, or I suppose difficult question. Have you ever been bullied or attacked in a way in the workplace?
I have. Last year, I do a lot of one-person shows in New York, all over off-Broadway in New York. There was a show I was recommended for. I went in, the actor, writer, who's also, I guess, the director, seemed perfectly nice at first. This was like, I have done over 20 one-person shows in New York, so it was just like, okay, another script, another job, no paycheck. Seemed perfectly fine. We teched his show. He wanted to do a little more tech like the next day, and he just kind of started flipping out. He's like, "Oh, that's not that like you." I'm like, "Okay, if you want to change it, that's fine. Just let us know. We'll change it." And he kept getting like more and more aggressive as the day progressed. And at one point, he screamed in my face and put his hands on me for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And if you scream in my face and put your hands on me, I'm going to leave. So I went upstairs to the booth, got my bag, and quit. I mean, I got
Oh,
paid because I had a contract, and that theater would not have wanted to deal with me if they had not legally paid me. But if you scream at me, you put my hands on me, out. And that's for anyone. If you ever feel unsafe in any situation, you can't just verbally, calmly fix something with the people you're working with, leave. No job is worth it for your physical and mental well being. It is not worth it at all. And I have been bullied by stage managers. I have been bullied by stage managers because, I'm someone that has a lot of different interests. I do a lot of different things. I do things outside of theater. It is a part of my life, but it's not my life completely. And some people just treat me like crap because of it. They're like, oh, she's nothing like us because she's not obsessed with this musical. She's not obsessed with this book. I don't have to be obsessed with musicals. I don't have to be obsessed with certain novels. That I respect them. I'm happy to talk about them. But I don't have to be obsessed. And I don't think it is good to be obsessed with just one thing. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that makes a well-rounded person. I've been bullied because I'm lesbian. For a while, I identified as bisexual when I was younger. Not the first lesbian in the world to figure out her sexuality, and just, we were talking about this a little bit. Later in my 20s, I realized I was lesbian, and I was called a freak who made no sense by someone because I used to identify as bisexual and now I identify as gay. And that does not make me a freak. That makes no sense. I am a human. I like who I like. We are all equal. All sexuality is valid. All gender is valid. We are all human. And I will not forget that till this day, that person said that to me, because it's scarring and it's mean, and unnecessary. And not everyone is perfect in this industry. And if you, I mean, you shouldn't be talking about sexuality at work, but given we are, just a lively industry, and a lot of people in our industry do identify in the LGBT community. It's a safe community for people to come out and feel comfortable in and feel they have a community in. And if people don't want to talk about their gender and sexuality, don't force them to. It is illegal. It is mean. It is wrong. And if people are comfortable talking about, their pronouns, their sexuality, their background, be respectful and make sure if you have a question, if it's a term you're unfamiliar with, because as we progress in the world, obviously the plus in the LGBT plus community, everyone is different. Everyone is beautiful and different in their own unique person. And if there's a term you're not familiar with, just be respectful of how you're asking. Asking questions is perfectly fine. There's just a certain way to do it. And, if someone like me is not going to forget, I was called a freak who made no sense for being a lesbian because I used to date men. So it's not cool.
I must say, I've actually got goosebumps now, just the way that you've said that, and it's actually, it's terrible what's happened to you, but I'm so glad that you're actually speaking out about it. A lot of people do not want to speak out about what's happening, and that you have the courage to actually speak about is amazing. And thank you for that. I really do appreciate that.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me talk about that and use this as a platform to talk about it.
No, and I think it's important to talk about something like that, especially.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like I said, I've actually got goosebumps. Just the way you've said everything, it's powerful and it's beautiful. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Whew.
Well, I have some goosebumps too. So there you
go. The next question you already answered now with is, have you ever needed to quit a show due to unpleasant work environment?
Just that one instance.
Where you took your bags. And I mean, what you said about, no job is worth it is, wow,
Your well-being, your mental state, your physical state, I was reading my horoscope this morning, and my horoscope said, "We are human beings, not human doings."
Wow.
That was
Yeah,
in my horoscope this morning. Yep. Maybe it
that
was
is,
meant to be that it was in my horoscope this morning. I always think it is, but we are human beings, not human doings. We are all equal, everyone around the world. Got to take care of each other. Got to take care of each other.
in the end, our blood is the same color. That's what I always say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The next question is also, I think, that kind of falls into what you've answered. But what has been the worst experience you've ever had? And
Well, I think the one that I quit is certainly in that topic is certainly number one. I've been lucky to have not like too many unpleasant experiences. Obviously, the one I quit was obviously not a good experience. Obviously, the person that called me a freak who makes no sense because I'm a lesbian, it was not my favorite day in the world, or because I don't love a certain novel, that wasn't my favorite day in the world. But you gotta be strong and get through it. And even though that is completely wrong what they did, and it was at a professional event that was said to me, that wasn't just at like a party where people from the same industry are hanging out. That was at a professional event. That person said that to me. A freak that makes no sense because I'm gay, which makes it even worse that it was at a professional event. You know, you got to be strong and just get through it and know you're there to do a job. You're not a freak that makes no sense. Everyone is beautiful. Everyone is equal. We're all the same. Like Dion said, we all have the same blood. We all have different backgrounds. We're all from beautiful parts of this world, but we all have the same blood, and we all matter. Everyone matters in this world, and just be strong. And if you don't want to continue to work with a certain company or certain people, don't work with someone that calls you a freak that makes no sense. Don't work with someone that's going to bully you because you don't have the same interest as them. It's not a requirement to have the same interest as someone if you're working on a show. Your job is there to support the show and do your job and give 110%.
And I mean, in the end, unfortunately, that is what we get paid to do. And sometimes we just need to push away the emotions and do the job. But I mean, sometimes it's not possible to do that, especially if something like this happens that happened to you. It goes on a deeper level, and it's not just something that you can just push away and go on. I mean,
it's not. I mean, we do say, at least in New York, and maybe you guys say it around the world, leave your emotions at the door. But we're, like I just said, we're human beings. We're not human doings. Exactly. Our emotions speak level. Some days are just going to be harder. And some days, if they're in rehearsal and you need to go outside and go for a walk around the block and talk, feel also, if you're having a tough day in your personal life or work, feel confident talking to your team and being like, listen, today there's just some stuff going on in my life and I'm here to support, but just know. And usually people are there to support you. Like, hey, you're human. We understand things happen. If you need to go around the block, you need to go to the bathroom and cry, you need to go outside and cry. I've gone to a bathroom and cried after a long tech day. It happens. It happens. You're working yourself to the bone. Every emotion is running hot sometimes, especially because of the work you work on. Because, art is emotional. Theater is emotional. It can trigger things, right? Especially dark theater. So just it's one day at a time. Just take life one day at a time.
I'm laughing at that you say that we go cry in bathrooms, and that's actually true. I mean, we do. We just don't talk about it, but we do that.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about it at the bar after. You go to the bar and you rant, whatever. But no, it is true. I've not once in my life I went to a bathroom and cried after tech because I was just really feeling it that day after a 10 out of 12. And you know what? It's okay. I'm not afraid of my tears, and no one else should be.
It happens, and I mean, also what's important is to notice that you work with so many different people, and everyone has different emotions. And I mean, in a way, it all comes down on you, and you need to then block it in to be able to process it as well.
I mean,
Which
well,
makes
there's actually another time. There is actually another time I have credit. It wasn't in the bathroom. For the symposium I run that you are now a part of, which I'm so excited about. The Broadway Stage Management Symposium is 2 weeks away, May 30th and 31st, all online. BroadwaySymposium.com if you have any questions. It's going to be amazing. We started rehearsals and the platform is so cool. What I was saying is, one year we saw the Broadway play Indecent by Paula Vogel. And at that time, I was just going through something with a woman in my life. And I kind of forgot what Indecent was about until, like an hour before we saw the play. And I told my business associate, like, just so you know, this has been going on in my life with a woman, and what we're about to see might trigger like a lot of tears for me. And my business associate was perfect and was like, if you need to cry, do it. You're a person, you're going to do what you have to do. And I think for the first time in like ever, my production assistants and my business associate saw me crying in a theater and saw me crying on the street afterwards when we were, talking to some of the cast members who, generously take time to speak to our attendees after their performance. And I didn't see that as a bad thing. I saw that as they maybe saw me as human and not just the production coordinator. And it's okay. And theater is supposed to be powerful and make you feel. And worlds were colliding, and I just couldn't hold back my tears.
But I mean, in the end, we are still human, and sometimes people forget that. They think you're kind of just automatic machine that just works. But
a one-woman show I've been doing for over a year now. I do lighting design and stage management for, and one of my actors, or the actor in the show, who's also the writer, she said someone at the theater was being gruff, and I said, "Oh, he's probably just tired." And I realized when I walked in the building, I'm like, he's just being handed a script of cues, and no one's treating him like a person. So when I walked in, I didn't hand him a binder of cues to call. I said, "Hey, I'm Elizabeth. Nice to meet you. How's your day going?" Couldn't have been nicer the rest of the day. I think he just wanted to be, because he is a person, he just wanted to be treated like a person and not, an operator. So, just treat people, someone, brilliant stage manager I know, I saw, she was doing a video yesterday on Facebook and her shirt said, "Be good to people. Be good to people."
And that is what it comes down to in the end, in any field and any industry is
absolutely.
Be a decent human being.
Yes, be a good person.
Moving on to the next. Do you prefer to tour or do local shows?
I have never toured. I mean, I guess technically in college I did like a little bit of touring in Rhode Island, but I don't really count that. I've never toured. It's not something I have any interest in doing. And when I should be a little more specific. I don't want to work on like a Broadway tour or like a non-equity tour. I do want to work all over the world, but like as a guest artist or on different projects, but I don't want to like live out of a suitcase necessarily is what I mean. Because when people tour, that it's a lifestyle choice. It's great that people want to do that. We can share shows all over the world. It's just not a lifestyle I want. So I prefer New York, but I also do want to immerse myself in other countries and go see what it's like to work over there. So
touring can be fun, but also exhausting at the same time.
my friends that do it, I commend them. Some people love it. I have friends that love being on the road and seeing all different parts of this country and, doing the 18 trucks and living out of a suitcase and not, that's great for them.
Hotel to hotel, yeah.
To each their own.
The interesting question, this. But if there's one thing that you could change with a snap of a finger instantly in the industry, what would it be?
Maturity. There needs to be a little more maturity in this industry, and just maturity. I wish people. I mean, I also wish economics were slightly better in this industry too. I mean, there's a lot of things I'd like to change, but definitely people's maturity, and just professionalism. Yeah.
The next 2-3 questions moves a bit more to the Broadway international stage management side. So the first question is, can you explain to us in New York in the United States, how does your hierarchy work in stage management? Like who's on top, who's at bottom top?
Yeah, so there's the production supervisor. And then on the stage management team, there's the production stage manager. Then usually on Broadway, there is a first ASM and then a second ASM. And those are the 3 stage managers on the team. And then to support that team and to support the production, there are production assistants. And I say the production assistants, even though they are considered a part of the stage management team, they are not on the stage management team. And that's for their own safety in their contract. Because if something happened, you have to be union. There are rules to follow, especially working on a Broadway show. But generally, on a player musical, there are 5 people total on a team, 3 stage managers, 1 being the PSM, and then maybe 6, 3 or 4, 2 or 3 production assistants. But every show varies. Like a show like Harry Potter, they're going to have a lot more people. A show like, the Cursed Child, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, a lot more tracks, a lot more, a bigger stage management team. A show like Spider-Man. I think a show like Spider-Man, they actually had 2 calling SMs. So here we call calling SMs the person that calls the cues. On a less intense show would call all the sound, all the lights, all the video, all the auto fly, and all the auto deck. On Spider-Man, they had someone calling the automation, and they had someone calling the lights and sound separately because it was just such a massive production. And for the safety, it was for safety too, and so that everything could run safely. They had 2 calling SMs, which I think is a really good idea. And do that if you have to on your show, not just for Spider-Man. If you need 2 calling SMs, make it work. So
in South Africa, we have the term deputy stage manager. Do you guys have a deputy stage manager, and what do they do in your capacity?
I've heard that term, I guess, used for British theater. I think a deputy stage manager is supposed to be our production stage manager. If I'm wrong, please type that in the comments, because I've only heard that term used in English theater, but I've never worked in Britain in theater, so I'm not sure, but I've heard that term. What is a deputy stage manager in South Africa?
Well, we are actually South Africa. Well, the theatre lands on the UK-based stage management system. So the deputy stage manager is also, in a way, a calling SM. We've got PSM, which is then the main caller, and then the deputy stage manager who will then basically also call. But sometimes the deputy stage manager can also double up as an assistant stage manager and do props. But it depends from production, and also obviously budget to budget.
So I guess a deputy stage manager here in the States, or like in Broadway traditional New York theater, would be the calling SM. However, on a Broadway show and some off-Broadway shows and touring, obviously, the person that calls the show and the team changes every night. It's kind of like baseball. You know how the pitcher changes every 6 days? It's kind of like that. So, not the production assistants unless they get a bump in their contract to come on as a sub or replacement ASM here, but one of the 3 stage managers will call the show, and when it changes every night. So if someone is calling the show, the other person is running the deck, and then someone else is in the office. And if there's a basement, someone is in the basement, and that changes, and you have deck cards and you have calling cards, and you just learn all the different tracks. And some people don't know till that morning.
Explain that quickly. That's a deck cards. That's a term I've never heard before.
Oh, deck cards. So, like your running sheet, like how to run the deck. They put on like little cards so that there's just something light for you to hold, so that
so it's
you're
like
blocking
actual cards, like cards.
Yeah, like
wow.
Some shows do that. Not all shows do. Some people just have their run sheets, which is just basic computer paper.
That's how we have. It's just like a tracked sheet.
Track sheet.
for a show that we recently did, I actually made a little pocket version because it was so heavy and I had so much stuff to do. Because I was kind of technical SM, I don't know what I was, but like it was just easier. But I never actually knew. But yeah, that's
I
interesting.
think I mostly just do it on Broadway. But yeah, it's just a run sheet of, your blocking and what's happening on the deck. And it changes every night for the team. You just rotate. I mean, sometimes, you might call, if it's a 2-show day, maybe someone is calling the show twice that day, but it not all changes. In the beginning, especially on a Broadway production, the PSM will be the one primarily learning the show, calling the show, and then as weeks progress, as previews start, the first and the second stage managers learn the call of the show, which there's also rehearsals during the day where they do that. And when they're comfortable and they finally call the show, at the performance. So yeah, there's a lot that happens that's different here from other parts of the world.
With that topic, is there any terminology or specific word that you've heard but you actually didn't know what it is and you had to go research it? Just an interesting side note.
There's not necessarily a word I was unfamiliar with that I had to go research it. I've seen people, like me, for example, when I'm writing cues in my script, I write LX for light. That's just how I learned it at Williamstown. Some people write LT, some people just write L. You are supposed to have a key in your script so that in case you were never there to call, someone can look and see what you mean. If there's not a key and it's just kind of a fast-paced event production scenario, just ask. If you don't know, if someone does judge you, by the way, they're a jerk. It's unprofessional. But I'm saying most of the time you can figure it out. Like, yeah, LT probably means light. But if you really just want to be responsible and confirm, hey, just looking at your script, LT means light, and they'll be yep, and that's it. That was what, a 4-second conversation, an important conversation. But yeah, so there's nothing I've ever really had to look up necessarily. I mean, the term deputy stage manager is certainly newer to me because which is a more international term, but nothing in particular that has fazed me.
Interesting. What are your thoughts on belonging to a union? Obviously, we don't have unions in South Africa, but it is quite a big thing in the States. And how do you feel about that?
I'm pro-union. I personally am not in a union. I am an EMC candidate, which is a points program for Actors Equity, which is the union for both stage managers and actors here, which is a great union. I got offered my full contract to join the union when I was 23. I turned it down because I wasn't going to get enough healthcare weeks, which is a big benefit to joining a union here, obviously. I am completely pro-union. I think Actors Equity is great. It's just not something in my wheelhouse at the moment. A lot of things I do, I don't have to be union. A lot of projects I do prefer I'm not union. So, if you want to join a union, it's just a personal decision. It's not anything anyone else can make for you. It's just balancing the good and bad and seeing if that's something you want to do. I can't judge someone for doing it. I would never judge someone for joining. But I am pro-union, though I am not in the Actors Equity Association.
And then I think our last question related to the specific topic of Broadway New York International Standard. Do you think your salary that you make on a production is fair for the amount of work that you do?
No. I make, I negotiate contracts and I won't do a production if I don't feel I'm being paid what I'm comfortable with, but I of course wish I would be paid more sometimes on certain projects than I am. And a lot of that can sometimes come down to sexism. Right? Sexism is everywhere in this world. Yeah, it just you have to be confident negotiating your contract, and if you don't feel you're going to be paid enough to work on the project and it's not something that's in your heart to work on, don't do it. Don't waste someone else's time. And however, if you are committing, if you're saying, okay, this is what they're going to pay me for this project, I can't negotiate with them anymore, but I really want to work with these people and I really want to work on this project, give 110%. So yeah, you're making what you're making, but you've made a commitment and that you have to give 110%. And even if you're volunteering your time, I've done many charity events that I love participating in for Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, and that is all me happily donating my time. And I give 110% to them, just like I'm giving 110% to a production that's paying me to be there. And if you can't do that, you can't work professionally. So just do the job.
And then our last question before we get to the final part. We've spoken a lot and deep, intense conversation, which is good. What is the most helpful way for you to get feedback?
Not during tech. That happened once and I was like, okay, we don't know how to use people skills here. I think that if you want to get feedback, whether it's positive feedback or constructive criticism, which isn't a bad thing, set a time aside to talk to the people you're working with, and discuss it. And it's all good. It's all going to make you grow. You're going to learn how to work with a lot of different people, and you're going to take all that knowledge and information and use it on many different things, and not just theater. Maybe you'll use it coaching golf. Maybe you'll use it being a waiter. Maybe you'll use it. I do dog walking sometimes. That's another side gig of mine.
You're just a jack of all trades, hey. Literally like everything from golf to dog walking to every single department in the industry. I mean,
gotta pay the bills. You gotta. Oh, you'll love this. Can you see?
Oh wow! Oh, please send me one. I want that.
I'll get you one off of Etsy if they still make it. I don't know if they still make it. I saw a friend wearing it on Instagram, and I was like, "Where'd you get that?" And he sent me the link. I'll text you the link when we're off the call. I will send you the link if they still make it. I hope they do. No, I gotta pay the bills, right? You gotta pay the bills. So yeah.
Moving into our last section, almost done. Thank you for everyone who's still sticking around, and thank you for all the comments, everyone. It's wonderful to have everyone here. Moving to the last part, would you ever change your career? Would you change to a different industry?
I mean, I would never stop doing theater and live entertainment. Something new that I'm going to start doing once it is safe again is real estate. I was in real estate school before the quarantine started. My father, Jill, as my new friend Nick Moore, talented composer, sound designer Nick Moore says, I am a Jill of all trades. He's I don't mind Jack of all trades. He's just very sweet and says Jill of all trades. Yeah, my father is a real estate and zoning attorney. I was just looking, to try something else in addition to everything else I do, another side hustle. And he's like, maybe you'd like to sell real estate. So I was in school for 3 weeks. It has stopped. It hasn't been moved to online, which I actually emailed the professor the other day and asked him why, and I did not hear back. I'm sure they're figuring it out. Once it's safe again, we'll have 3 or 4 more weeks of school, and I will take the state test and we'll start selling real estate in New York, Long Island, and probably New York City. And it's just, again, there's a lot of management in that too, though. There's management in everything. It's another industry of people. There'll be a lot of different personalities. I work with some people that might not be nice, and there'll be some people I love. But that's any industry, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't totally ever leave theater, just like I would totally never leave sports or writing. But I like a lot of
many fields and industries. Wow.
Just like I'm never gonna probably stop dog walking. And I'll do real estate. I just do me. I just do me. That's the plain and simple answer.
I think the most long, I don't know, that's language is not working anymore. The
We've been
most
talking for like
important,
an hour.
yeah, I know. It feels like 10 minutes. It's such an interesting
Aw,
conversation.
I've enjoyed spending time with you, my friend.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
I adore
I
you.
think
You
the
know how much
most,
I adore you.
oh, I'm
I
coming to
adore
sleep
you.
on your couch when I come to New York or Long
When
Island.
you come here, you do not have a couch, you have a guest room.
Yes. And you
You
can
have
come sleep on our couch, like I said, but you will just have to share with like 4 or 5 cats or like
I've had
so.
to do that before. I've crashed on friends' couches when I don't want to go back to Long Island or girlfriends' couches, and they have cats and dogs and ferrets and whatnot. I do not mind hanging out with the animals.
That's good. Okay, so I think the most important question, and I do ask this, and I'm going to ask this for all the guests as well. But if you, as Elizabeth, can give an upcoming young professional advice, what would it be?
Like the t-shirt said, be good to people. Give 110%, whether you are volunteering your time or you're making bank on a great project. Roll with the punches. Go with the flow. There are going to be twists and turns. There are going to be hard days. There are going to be easy days. There are going to be fun days. You're going to have to do it. And that's just being an adult. That's not just being a stage manager. That's not being an actor. That's not being a real estate agent. That's just being a human being and an adult. Everyone, I think everyone is probably at least 18 years old that is watching this, right? So
Hope so.
if there is anyone young watching this, that's exciting and awesome. And if anyone just graduated from college or high school, congratulations. Can't wait to work with you all. Have your business cards. You can get business cards. Those are very inexpensive to make. Network. Do webinars like this. Great webinars like this. Meet people from around the world. And don't be shy. I was actually, it might surprise you. I actually used to be very shy when I was a lot younger. And then I started doing theater, and I was just like, I got to shed that shell. And just be confident and nice to people, and don't be afraid to ask questions. So many people I work with are afraid to ask questions. I mean, don't ask the same question over and over again. But there are no stupid, I mean, if someone's like told you, here's the prop, don't be like, here's the, what is this? But it happens. Oh, it happens. It happens. But ask questions, read books, watch a lot of different things. Just, if you want to work in this industry, you're going to have to hustle and be kind to people. Hustle and be kind to people. And know that you're going to be working with people who come from all different backgrounds. I don't want to try to sound, repetitive, but you're working with people all different backgrounds, all different stories. Some people might have anxiety. Some people might have depression. Some people might come from not a great home environment, and try to, just be understanding that everyone is different and everyone is dealing with different things in their life, but that we're all the same. So
Before we get to the end, there's some comments that came through. One came from Unita from Wijk, who's South Africa's biggest stage manager, and she was also my mentor and is a mentor to a lot of our stage managers. And she says, "Thank you, Elizabeth. Really enjoying your chat." So that's one
thank
thing.
you. It's been a
And
pleasure. Thank you.
then there's Namgla Kalipa, who's also a stage manager, ASM all-rounder. And firstly, she's saying she really enjoys the conversation, and she's missed a lot of theatre terminology. And then she continues with asking, what did you want to become when you grew up?
I wanted to be an attorney.
Oh, wow. That is...
Well, no, because my father is an attorney, and I was like, he runs a private law firm for like almost 40 years now. And I'm like, that's cool. And what reason I went to college originally for my first year for sport management, because I wanted to be a sport agent. I don't know if anyone watching is familiar with the movie Jerry Maguire with Tom Cruise.
Sounds
Okay,
familiar to me.
you probably know who Tom Cruise is, right?
Yes, I do.
So he was in a great film called Jerry Maguire from the mid-90s. So if you're bored and want to watch something, Jerry Maguire with Renee Zellweger and Tom Cruise is a great movie. Bonnie Hunt, it's a great movie. He plays a sport agent in that movie, which means he's a sport attorney. Most sport agents you do not legally have to have a law degree. Most do go to law school after studying sport management. And I wanted to be the female Jerry Maguire. And then I did a year of that at college and actually apprenticed for a professional sport agent who is a sport attorney in Florida. And I just didn't really love it. I love sport law just generally. It's just not something I wanted to pursue as a career anymore. But, it's never say never. I still do sport management. I still do sport marketing. I'm crossing all sanitized fingers that the US Open tennis here in New York is going to be happening this summer. I'm supposed to be helping on the sport marketing team for that. We have no idea if it's going to happen yet or not. We're going to find that out in June. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to be when I was like a kid. I was an attorney like my dad. So who jokingly always says to not be an attorney. Because my brother also wanted to be an attorney. My youngest sibling was the one that was like, I want to be an artist, and actually is an incredibly talented writer and artist. And my brother is also a writer. So we all ended up in the arts professionally somehow.
Wow. And then our second last question. Do you have any exciting projects coming up that we can look out for? Obviously, once life has semi-returned to normal. But do you have any exciting projects coming up?
Well, if it's still happening, the US Tennis Open here in New York and every year in Queens, which is just right outside Manhattan. So not too far away from Broadway, just a subway ride. And the Broadway Stage Management Symposium is 2 weeks. So we might, as Matt likes to say, and happy birthday, Matt, if you're watching. I think you're in rehearsal, but happy birthday. I think he's on a 180.
Come up. That was supposed to be the part.
I gotta take a photo. No, I'll take a photo. Do you mind if I take a quick photo of that?
Matthew.
Oh, it was so sweet of you. I think he's in one of our symposium rehearsals right now. But if you're watching, happy birthday, Matt. Your cake is on the way. So the symposium, we'll tag him. The symposium, Broadway Stage Management Symposium. It doesn't look I can make a comment on this thing, but if someone, BroadwaySymposium.com, 2 weeks, May 30th, 31st, also every Friday. We've been doing SM Tech Fridays, where we meet. You can meet our different partners from around the globe and see the cool stuff they have created. This week coming up, we have Point Source Audio, which is going to be a lot about headsets, but different and cool way about headsets in that feature. Yeah, so, and we have great deals going on. So check it out, BroadwaySymposium.com. We're on all social media, I think, Broadway Symposium, Broadway Sim. Another project I do is called, it was called Places. Now it's called Garden of Allah. I am the production stage manager and lighting designer for that. I've done it here all over New York. We also did it at the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. last summer. That's still in the works for the next production of that. It's about Ala Nazimova, who was a lesbian producer, director, actress, that is written, produced, and performed by my brilliant, talented friend. She is my soul sister, Romy Nordlinger. I love her so much. She has put together such a brilliant piece of art and story and production. I was just telling her yesterday how it's one of the most rewarding projects I've worked on in my career. And I adore our team and her so much. And I can't wait till we're back sharing that story with everyone. Real estate will happen at some point. Symposium places. I think that's kind of it for now. There'll be something else, but we can't predict that future right now. But as Matt likes to say, we may be isolated, but we are not alone. So at least we have Zoom and Streamer and all this great technology to keep us together and still making art. Romy actually did a beautiful poetry reading last week on Zoom. with a few other talented actresses, and I was crying just by how passionate and moving this multi-layered character she wrote in her story and her poetry was. And and yeah, it's beautiful that we can still do this on these platforms.
Wow. Yeah, we've been talking for 1 hour and 6 minutes.
I worn you out?
No, not at all. I mean, I could go on for another 10 hours, but I'm good. Do you have any closing words? Do you want to say anything else? Do a shout out to anyone?
Well, if I know anyone watching this, thank you for watching. SM love, as we like to say, theater love, human love. No, just thank you so much for letting me join this platform and talking to everyone. And I hope I was able to answer all your questions and give you advice. And wherever you are in the world, please just stay safe and well, and know that we might be isolated, we're not alone, and take care of each other. And hopefully this is over soon and we're back together creating art in person. Just be good to each other. That awesome t-shirt I saw yesterday, be good to people.
I want that. And I want to add,
I don't know where she got it. It actually might be from a show. It might be a show shirt.
well, it's been an absolute honor to have you here. It's been absolute amazing to talk to you, just to discuss it and stuff, which is done differently from South Africa to New York and States. But also just to have you here. I mean, you're such an awesome person, and just to be able to chat to you and have this discussion.
You're an
So
awesome
thank you
person.
once again for agreeing to do this.
My
It's
pleasure.
been amazing, and I really do hope that we can get you again sometime.
Let's make it happen.
Yes.
I want to come to South Africa and work with you. That's what I want to do.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. I'm coming to New York. You're coming here. We've sorted out. We're going to do that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But yes, thank you, Elizabeth. I
Pleasure.
am honored that you've been here, and it's been a wonderful hour and 10 minutes discussing with you.
Hey, just like in a rehearsal, 80 minutes and then you take a break.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. And I want to say stay safe, do the usual hand sanitizer, wear the mask, stay inside,
Yes, wash
all that
those
stuff.
hands, cough in your arm,
Yes, that thing, do the elbow thingy.
vampire cough.
Thank you, and have a lovely afternoon. Yeah, afternoon.
It's about 2:30. About 2:30 here.
Thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Before everyone vanishes, there's a few announcements that we need to make. One being, I'm going to show you a video, which we're very excited about. Very, very excited for this launch. So quickly watch this video, and then we'll talk. Boom. I am freaking out about that. Downstage Productions is officially launching a merchandise store. I know. Mic drop. Please don't drop the mic, actually, because we hate that. But mic drop. Freaking out here. The shop will be going live soon, and we will also like to do a giveaway. So, if you can name 2 items which we will be selling in our merchandise store, you will be winning something. You can drop your comments down in the comment section, your whatever you want to say. There's about 4 things on the list that was in the video, 2 of the things mentioned too, and you can win something. If you have any more information about merchandise, you can email us at merch@dspza.co.za. I should bring that on the screen, actually. Give me 2 seconds. Going up. So you can contact us at that email below. if you have any information. Yeah, we're very excited for the merchandise launch. And lastly, which alive today, which I'm completely freaking out. Boom. Officially downstage production branded mask, face mask, to keep you safe against our deadly virus and pandemic. This is currently on sale. We will be selling this for 50 South African rands. If you're interested, please drop us a mail or send us a Facebook message. And yes, hopefully you can get yours soon. We have two different options. It's this one and then this one. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, thank you to Elizabeth for joining us. Have a lovely evening. Peace out. Be safe. Wear your mask. Hand sanitize.